and we continue marching through time. The great thing about astrology is at any moment we can study the quality of time, and we can try to use the symbols that are active to analyze and lean into time as its quality changes. And so in this video, I'm just going to touch base with a few upcoming transits, a few things that I like, things that I want to bring to your radar about what might be arriving here, and energies we can utilize for our benefit as we're in this season of change from the fixed activation. So back to talk about more astrology. As always, that's what this channel is about. Thanks for being here. And so this is what I used to do every week. I would come in and try to talk about the astrology as it unfolds at a more granular level. And I really like doing that. I mean, the thing about astrology is there's all kinds of ways into astrological discourse. And so at any time, if I want to make a video, I can just pick up and say, hey, where are the good pockets of energy? How can we use some of these upcoming lunar transits to our benefit? Where are the potent activations that we might want to plan for? Or where are the difficulties that we might want to plan around? And so that's all I'm going to do in this video. I'm looking out about maybe a week to 2 weeks from now, which as I record this is 15 August, right after that full moon in Aquarius, getting right into Monday. I'm recording this on a lovely Aries moon that's activating that Venus, that lovely Venus-Jupiter trine that we have in the sky right now. So let's just dive in. I want to just contextualize. The next big transit on my radar is the Moon-Mars conjunction in the anaretic degree of Taurus that takes place on Friday, 19 August, 13:05 here in Central Europe where I live. And you can see here the moon, it's that final trigger of the fixed activation that we've lived through. We've almost made it through here. So congratulations to you for getting through whatever difficulties emerge for you. I've talked to so many people and many friends and astrologers and family and just people in the community. A lot of surprising changes, difficulties, feeling run down. When is it going to end? A lot of challenge and difficulty with that Mars-Saturn square, with the nodes, with Uranus. So we're almost there, and this Friday is sort of the last little activation here. Moon conjoins Mars just as Mars is going to traverse that border, finish its time in Taurus, and Mars will get a boost here in Gemini, as I've talked about. It'll be a kind of a frenetic energy. The risk is too much energy, too much frenzy. You can see the videos I've done on that. But just be aware here on Friday, midday in Central Europe, morning, maybe Thursday evening into the early hours of the morning if you're in North America, South America. One to watch. You may want to just rest here or brace for the final kind of activation of this fixed pressure, this tension, squares and oppositions in the fixed axis with those fated lunar nodes. So, and as you know, I've been using resources in my videos. Part of why I do that is that I want you out there watching to know how you can use books and the written word, the living symbol engagement that other people have provided us to bring into our living moment. And so what I'm going to do in this video, I want to show you this resource. I have suggested this to many, many people on Twitter. People write me sometimes, what does this mean? And my first question often, when I can have the time to do it, I'll say, well, you know, what don't you understand? And then a lot of people say, I don't really know anything. I always give them this resource, astro.com Introduction to Astrology. It's a very concise but yet jam-packed beginner's course. It's a free introduction and they have a lot of useful, they just break it all down. It's not a complete introduction, okay? There's problems with it, but it's a first step and it's free online right on astro.com. And so in this video, I'm just going to use their section here, the signs. They have a brief introduction to the signs. And we're going to use some signology as a way in to looking at some upcoming transits I want you to be aware of. And so this first one, right? Moon, Mars in Taurus. Well, what does this little guide on astro.com uses Liz Green's writing about Taurus, a famous astrologer, very well known, loved. But Liz Green here, what does she say about Taurus? Well, sensual, pleasure seeker, steadfast, strives for security. Now with the moon, it's also a planet of security. Taurus, according to Liz Green, is a sign of security. Makes sense, moon exalted in Taurus. Here's what she says, it sees red when provoked for a long time. Now we have Mars in that anaretic degree. It's been there for such a long time. I do think there's maybe a risk here of our security needs or anger around security or just anger and frustration. There's always usually something beneath, right? Anger is this outer expression of maybe deeper, I would encourage you to think about your security. What are the needs? What are the beliefs about needs? And maybe seeing that in a new light or even sharing it with people. I think it's a wonderful way to process anger is just find someone you trust and that loves you and that can hold you and just, hey, can I have 5 minutes? Can I run something by you and express that anger or write it down on paper? Read it out loud. Read it to the taxi driver. Just say, start the tab and read it for 5 minutes, then get out, go burn it or something. But there's certainly a risk of anger with this final activation, maybe as we're saying goodbye to changes or looking back on the difficulty and there's a frustration, why me, etc. So that's my thing here, using Liz Green, using what I know about the symbols, trying to lean into these charts to just help us. And then the final thing I just say, the good thing about this chart is that Mars is past Uranus, past the nodes, past Saturn. It's the real final hurrah there. And the sign-based square is about to be over. Now that's the next chart I want to look at, is Saturday, the following day, 7:12 in the morning in Central Europe, or Friday night into the early morning on Saturday in North America. You get this beautiful, beautiful Gemini moon. Before Mars ingresses into Gemini, the moon will enjoy that first decan or so. And the cool thing about this chart is that the moon is enclosed between the benefic planets. The moon will sextile Jupiter and then apply to a sextile to Venus and Leo, Jupiter and Aries. And so it's this lovely splay between two sextiles with the moon and the benefics. And then those benefics are now separating, but still in a pretty tight trine. And so this is another activation of the fire trine of Jupiter and Venus. And this is why I love doing this, because just this one chart, there's so much to talk about the symbol set here and how this may activate for us and how we may utilize this. I mean, you could do a whole show, just a daily show, where you just pull up the chart and just start talking about it, pulling up the news and pulling up Twitter and just analyzing it all. Maybe I'll do that one day if I can get the resources around me to stream like that. I think it would be really fun. Before I dive into Liz Green, this is the one other resource I'm going to use in this video. I've done this for years, lunarium.co.uk, the lunar mansions, the tropical lunar mansions, I found to be an invaluable source to analyzing the moon's position, especially when the moon has a lot of strength from benefics. These special charts like this Gemini moon will be, we can go to the mansions and look at this lunar mansion, Alhana, the scar, good for love, friendship, relationships, business, and making alliances. So a lot of relational connectivity, which is positive here, love and friendship. I think about the Lover's card and the Tarot. You can see how these symbols all begin to connect with their correspondences, but the lunar mansion is speaking to the power of Gemini and Mercury to converse and convey. And then we have Venus and Jupiter in the mix with this sextile, and you really are bringing in business and friendship and love. The essence here, according to Lunarium, attraction, but also opposition. And Chris Warnock, they quote him here in this article. He says it signifies love, friendship, affection, can indicate the imminence of a new friendship or love, the intensification of current relationships. And I think that that's what we would say with Venus and Jupiter playing a role here with the moon. Venus is relationships. Jupiter is new growth, right? It's the growth of things. Imminence, right? Connections of imminence is Jupiter. So just in the chart, it's very much underscoring the delineation here of this lunar mansion. And so I would get excited about this one. If you can think about Saturday in the morning or Friday evening as this emerges, look for something surprising, some surprising good news. And the astrology would certainly support that. And I love that this comes right before we get this long Mars Gemini transit. So we're almost preparing in a moment of sweetness. Our Gemini sector gets this kind of sweet moment here before we settle into that long 7-month grind with Mars. And then we can just bring in Liz Green. Well, Gemini, she says, mental type, witty, communicative. There's that communication theme. Pleasure in learning. Maybe you'll meet someone new or a new friendship and you can focus on learning about them. That's a great way to build intimacy. Ask questions to the other person. Don't really talk about yourself, of course, if you're asked, for sure, but focus to learn about another, curiosity about another. We know that Jupiter is in Aries, so we have Aries as a component in this chart. Cardinal fire, willpower, impulsive, initiative, again with that lunar mansion of starting a new friendship, the initiation side of Jupiter in Aries. Courage, sometimes we need courage for intimacy, taking a risk in partnership or relationship. Just flow to Leo, where Venus is. What does she say? Glamour, generosity, organizer, center of attention, likes to take the lion's part. Well, Venus being there, I think there's a glamorous side to the newness of whatever this friendship is going to be. And, putting on a business suit if you're doing a business deal, putting on, some nicer clothes to impress someone on a date, looking our best. It can really build confidence, that Leonine confidence with Venus there. So just some ideas using these symbols. So it's actually still why the moon is enclosed between Venus and Jupiter, and it happens only about 2.5 hours after the specific moon that I liked. You have Mars entering Gemini, so just take note. Friday night into Saturday is when the big shift happens, and Saturday morning, 10 a.m. roughly here in Central Europe is when that Mars comes in. So you might want to pay attention to that as you're flowing with the moment there on Saturday, Friday, Saturday. Mars will come in, and it really does change the whole flow of this Gemini moon moment. The moon now has to mix with Mars, even though it's separating, they're blending together in the same sign. And it changes the nature of how the moon can operate. Definitely after the moon perfects the sextile to Venus, probably within an hour, then we now are in a whole new land. Happening this Saturday. And feel into the shift. You might want to feel in. It might happen fast. Saturday comes, you might say, wow, Mars is in Gemini. It feels so different. Sometimes ingresses are loud. And the final chart I want to point out is this Cancer moon that we actually start next week with. 22 August on Monday is the chart I've pulled up here. Earlier in that day, the moon ingresses into Cancer. 1636 in Central Europe, a lovely Cancer moon applying to Jupiter. That's the key. Those first degrees will apply to Jupiter. It's averse to Venus. So this is the only time in the whole of the Cancer moon transit you'll get an application to a benefic planet. The lovely thing about cardinal signs, and I want to say this here just to kind of get our heads around it, rest of the year, Saturn in Aquarius, the fixed signs have a malefic still. Mars in Gemini, all of the rest of 2022. Mutable signs deal with that malefic Mars. The axis, the modality that's free is the cardinal axis. And so cardinal signs are maybe where the opportunity is to mitigate for the rest of this year. Look at your cardinal axis. What houses does it comprise? And these house topics may be where you can lean into for support to brave the other activations that are more challenging here in 2022. But I love this moment here, Cancer moon applying to Jupiter, 1636 Monday here in Central Europe. And let's just touch back with Liz Green and Astro.com's introduction, leaning into some of that sinology again. We've already talked about Aries, the impulse of initiation. Well, what does she say here about Cancer? Emotional type, stubborn, seeks safety and closeness, very much a family person. So maybe we're settling in with family here, talking about initiating themes for the fall. I know there's many students out there. We're getting into that time where you're starting school. And you might be able to use some of this family time with this lovely moon there on Monday to think about what the family unit, or who do you need to love and protect? Who are you responsible for? Who relies on you? Who do you need to rely on as a mother figure? And spend time there with them, resting and nurturing and nourishing. So those are just a few of the upcoming transits. I wanted to release this, prepare us all for the coming weekend. Some cool activations here, some useful transits and energy that can just get us through the next few days, week. Take care. Talk soon.